Hello and welcome. My name is Anne Callis and I'm the program manager of the Bachelor of Laws programs here at RMIT University. So this is the Bachelor of Law, the undergrad in law session in this round of open day, online open day. Or you may also hear me refer to this as the LLB programs. Now, we currently offer 3 degrees, one straight 3-year Bachelor of Laws degree and 2 double degrees with the Bachelor of Business, which I'll tell you all about later. So a very warm welcome to all of you that are prospective students, to any parents that may attend, and anyone else who's here today and interested in this area of study. Next slide, please. I would like to start with an acknowledgement of country. So RMIT University acknowledges the people of the Woiwurrung and Bunurong language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nation, on whose unceded lands we conduct the business of the university. RMIT University respectfully acknowledges their ancestors and elders, past and present. RMIT also acknowledges the traditional custodians and their ancestors of the lands and waters across Australia where we conduct our business, and wherever you may be right now. I would also like to personally acknowledge that the traditional custodians of the land from which I'm dialing into this online session today are the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Next slide, please. So RMIT is committed to active reconciliation, to redefining its relationship in working with and supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders self-determination. So we have an ongoing transformation process, re-looking at how we can embed reconciliation in everything we do, into our teaching, into our research, and into your learning. So in line with the principles of Bunjil, we are changing our ways of knowing, working, and being. So please take time to reflect on this commitment to reconciliation. Hopefully many of you will be future lawyers and law students, and you will have a special role to play in this process. Because it is the legal system that provides many of the levers to address inequality and injustice. Next slide, please. So you can see me there again on the left. My co-speaker today is Professor Anthony Forsyth, and I'm going to hand over here to Anthony to say a couple of introductory words himself.
Thanks very much, Anne, and I join you in welcoming everyone who's interested in studying law at RMIT. We've been running a graduate entry Juris Doctor program for almost 15 years now, and in the last couple of years we've been building up to this year launching our undergraduate Bachelor of Laws degree for school leavers and for students coming through other RMIT vocational education and undergraduate pathways. And we've had 100 students start the program this year, so we're really looking forward to telling you more about it and your options for joining us to study law at RMIT next year. So back to you, Anne.
Thanks, Anthony. So what are we going to cover today? Here we go. I'll talk you through the entry requirements and the pathways, our program structure, and Anthony will tell you a little bit more about our facilities, industry connections, and career outcomes. And there will be plenty of time at the tail end for you to ask questions and get these answered either by us, or we also have the wonderful admissions team online, who can answer any admissions related questions. Which brings us to the next slide, please. So our 3-year Bachelor of Laws degree, how do you get it? How can you join us is probably the overall heading for this slide. If you are currently in grade 12 Your ATA will determine how you can join us and when you can join us. So this year, in our first intake, our clearly in ATA was 85.15. We have introduced for the Bachelor of Laws intake next year a guaranteed ATA entry. This is 88 for next year for the 3-year degree. There is no guaranteed ATA for the double degrees. I'll talk a little bit more about those later. Now, you're here because you're clearly interested and passionate about becoming a lawyer, studying law with us. There are other pathways into this program if you cannot achieve the required ATA. And can we see the next slides for our pathways? So if you don't meet entry requirements, the ATA requirements, a formal pathway is either through the associate degree in business or the associate degree in legal practice. You'll have to do well in these degrees, but especially the paralegal degree, the associate degree in legal practice, is a lovely pathway into our program because it already, starts making you part of the legal profession, of the legal system, if you like, of the justice system. There's also ways into the program when starting a different bachelor and doing really well in your first year. So please post any questions around admissions you may have. There is a dedicated team there that can answer them. So there's some limited credit available if you are starting in a different degree. If it's law related, you may be able to get credit for the Introduction to Law course, so becoming a global lawyer course, which is the very first course in our program. Which is a nice segue to our next slide, the course structure. So this is the program structure for the 3-year degree. The double degrees are 5 years, and program structures and double degrees are a bit more complicated. And you are here for the law, so we show you the law side of this. The courses are basically, all the core courses are the same, obviously, for the double degrees. This is an accredited law degree. That means there's a whole lot of courses in there that we call the Priestley 11. These are the courses that every law school in Australia offers if you want to study this to be admitted to practice at the end. So this course has been accredited by the Victorian Legal Admissions Board, and that means we commit to give you a comprehensive academic legal education. So the light gray, your contract, torts, criminal, property, and so on, these are all courses that are required, you are required to pass successfully in order to be admitted to practice. Overall, this is a program with 24 courses. There are 8 electives and 16 core courses. And it is these other courses in the darker colors, the enterprise law, justice innovation, law, business, and human rights, and also the starting course, becoming a lawyer in the globalized world, that really, show what our RMIT program is about. We have a special commitment in this program to law and technology, but also to human rights and justice innovation. And you will see this reflected in dedicated core course offerings, but also something that will be picked up throughout the program. So, for example, courses such as enterprise law, designing legal solutions, allow you to work on industry problems and, providing legal solutions to a startup very early into your degree. And this kind of interfaceless practice is something that is very unique and important for our degree. When you have done all and passed all of these courses, you have successfully done everything academically. You need to be admitted to legal practice. One thing I need to tell you though at this point is graduating from our degree is not all you need. As for every other law course or every other law program at other universities, you will also have to do something that is called practical legal training. This comes after you have graduated with us. It is either a year in a law firm and supervised workplace training, or you can do a 6 months PIT course with a fee-paying provider such as the College of Law or Leo Cousins Center for Law. Nothing unusual, is the same for every law course. Oh, I should say a couple of things about law electives. As you can see, they are very much it is your 3rd year where you can really shape, your CV and really pick what you are particularly interested in and what you in particular want to specialize in. We have a large range of electives, everything from covering, law and technology, deepening your commitment to justice, for example, with a law and human rights clinic, hopefully various tours available. This is something that right now, as you may imagine, no one is going to Vietnam on a Asian law and management issues tour. But if you're on grade 12 this year, you have a pretty good shot, hopefully by 2025, to be able to do something like that. We also offer courses such as climate law, various clinic options, and so on. So keep an eye on that. And once you start with us and you're on your 2nd year and you really want to think about what am I interested in the legal system in particular, do talk to our student advisors about your elective options so you can really, do this bit of shaping of your degree. Next slide, please. I have now mentioned our 2 double degrees several times. At the moment, we have 2, both with a Bachelor of Business, one Bachelor of Business Economics and Finance, and one Information Systems. We are looking into building out our double degree offers. It's not going to happen for next year, but hopefully in the future, we will have some more double degrees to offer. These 2 work really nicely with the Bachelor of Law if you are interested in this interface with business, want to become a corporate lawyer or, advise, become a financial services advisory lawyer. Economics and finance might be for you. Or if you really want to deep dive into this interface between law and information technology, the privacy issues, the intellectual property issues, and all the other ones that we see with the digitalization, if you like, of the world or the legal profession, the double degree with the information systems would be for you. If you had a look around the RMIT website, we are launching a more general Bachelor of Business with a lot more opportunities to pick and choose your program according to your interests from next year. You will have the option to lead over, move over into this program, but retain your specializations in economics and finance or information systems. So keep an eye out for that. There's more to come on how this is going to work. But for next year, these 2 are the double degrees we offer. Next slide, please. So for this year, the clearly in ATAR for the double degree was 88.05. This is determined every year and subject to change, but it gives you a good indication of, where do you need to be at to get into our double degree. As for the single law degree, for the 3-year degree, there are other pathways. including the completion of an associate degree or, other partially completed bachelor degrees. So if you have a specific query around admissions, please do post it in the chat and one of the experts will get back to you and talk to you about this. Okay, this is enough from me for now. We'll talk again at the end of this when we come to the questions. So I am handing over for the remainder of the slides to Anthony.
Thanks very much, Anne. So I'm going to talk a little about the facilities. I mentioned earlier that we've started our undergraduate law degree this year. We really did that in response to demand. We had a lot of people telling us that they'd really love to combine other studies in established areas at RMIT in business with a law degree, and also that a lot of students already studying at RMIT wanted to find pathways into studying law as an undergraduate. So it's been a really great addition to our already established Juris Doctor program, and I'll talk about the sort of exchange between the two programs and also between the two groups of students a bit more in a moment. But when in-person classes are on, we teach in the historic restored Emily McPherson building. It's on the northern edge of the Melbourne CBD near Lygon Street, so a really great location. And in the building we have a law student lounge that's shared between our Bachelor of Laws and Juris Doctor students. And also pictured on the slide, we have the Justice Tom Smith Law Reading Room, which is a really beautifully fitted out, quiet study space and has a donation from the Law Library collection of former Supreme Court Judge Tom Smith. When he retired, he kindly donated that collection to us, which provides a really atmospheric legal study space, which our students really enjoy. And between that and the main RMIT library, you'll have electronic access to all of the resources that you need for your law studies. So all of the Australian and overseas legislation, judgments in case reports are a big part of legal study. You'll be reading a lot of decisions and we have access to all of those, and also all of the academic journals needed for your legal studies. If we can move to the next slide, please. So let me talk a little bit about mooting. It's a very important part of legal study and law student life. So moots, for those of you who don't know, are mock legal cases where students act as barristers arguing in court on behalf of hypothetical clients based on a fact scenario. They do that before moot judges, who typically are role played by barristers or even current day judges. And so arguing these hypothetical problems is really important in developing legal skills and applying them to real life scenarios. It might be a case study on the legal rights of homeless people in the Melbourne CBD, or of the various legal issues that young people come up against in our legal system, criminal liability for things like graffitiing or drug use or travelling on public transport illegally. We bring to life in mooting these everyday scenarios, and really it's an opportunity for students to develop and apply those skills. So on the slide are some of our Juris Doctor students who recently competed in an external moot competition, and right now we have a team, an RMIT JD team, that's made the quarterfinals of the prestigious Kirby Contract Law moot competition, and we'll be hoping that they continue to achieve really well. But more than that, in terms of where they end up, is what they get out of the experience in terms of competing against students from top law schools around Australia and even internationally. There are a number of international moots that our students also participate in. So these are competitions that obviously are optional, but a lot of students take them up because it's a great way of developing and applying skills, as I mentioned, but it also looks very good on CVs when applying for jobs in law firms and other parts of the legal industry. But mooting is also part of the assessment in the final year Bachelor of Laws course, our capstone course, which is evidence, and students involved in that course will be arguing cases in the fabulous setting of the old Magistrates Court building, which RMIT owns. So it's a really great environment in which to simulate the real life courtroom experience that lawyers are involved in arguing those kinds of cases every day of the week. So if we can go to the next slide, please. I mentioned earlier that we started our JD program almost 15 years ago, but RMIT has actually been involved in legal education since 1962. And back then it was called the Articled Clerks course. Some of the graduates of that course have gone on to become Supreme Court judges. And another notable alumni from the Articled Clerks course is Rob Hulls, who's now an adjunct professor with us and heads up the RMIT Centre for Innovative Justice. He was a former Attorney General of Victoria in the Bracks Labor government. And through his centre, the Centre for Innovative Justice, our students get the opportunity to undertake placements, internships and clinical legal practice with some of the community legal centres. We, in addition, have deep connections in the Victorian legal profession. We have an advisory board chaired by Judge Amanda Chambers of the Victorian County Court, and that board also has representatives from the major legal firms, barristers and the Victorian Government Solicitor's Office, among others. And as well as advising us on our programs and contributing to the development of options for placements and internships and then graduate opportunities, we involve those experts from our board and from other parts of industry in our teaching through guest lectures and through industry mentoring in a number of the Bachelor of Law's courses. And we work closely with our industry partners, the courts and community legal centres, to provide internship, placement, clinical opportunities for students. So, for example, the Young Workers Centre at Trades Hall, which is just across the road from our building, they take a number of our students each semester for clinical legal practice. So students there will be working with Young Workers Centre lawyers, advising young people on their employment rights and issues like unfair dismissal or sexual harassment that come up in workplaces. Prior to the pandemic, Anne mentioned our study tours. So our Juris Doctor students in the last few years up until COVID had the opportunity, a number of them, to undertake our Innovative Justice Study Tour elective, where Rob Hulls takes a group of students. He's taken them to New Zealand a couple of times and also to New York City in 2019 to look at innovative approaches to resolving legal problems, particularly in the criminal justice system. So sort of moving away from the traditional crime and punishment approach to criminal justice and looking at really interesting examples in places like New York of alternative therapeutic approaches to resolving problems and resolving conflicts between different stakeholders in the criminal justice system. We'll be offering those study tour opportunities to Bachelor of Law students, probably later in your degree by about third year, and then of course pending travel restrictions being lifted and us being able to travel again. In the meantime, we are working closely with our industry partners on coming up with some simulated virtual study tour options, which might involve students, for example, undertaking virtual tours of courts and tribunals and therapeutic justice organisations, both here and overseas. So the next slide, we're going to be looking at career outcomes and what can you actually do with a law degree, particularly a law degree from RMIT. So over the 15 years that our Juris Doctor program has been running, we've had excellent career outcomes. Between 80 to 90% of graduates obtained full-time employment from the JD in 2018 and 19. Our expanding group of RMIT JD graduates and alumni are now working across the legal industry, in roles in the Victorian public sector, Victorian Government Solicitor's Office, legal aid, in not-for-profits like the Consumer Action Law Centre, in legal firms like Morris Blackburn and White and Case, a big corporate firm where one of our graduates ended up working overseas with that firm. Other big firms like King and Wood Mallisons and Cause Chambers Westgarth. Some of our graduates are now barristers. Some are working as CEOs of startups or social enterprises. Quite a few of them are working in-house as lawyers with corporations or with trade unions. Another one of our alumni, David Mahir Canales, a former president of our Law Student Society, is now working as a senior advisor to an Australian Greens senator. So I think what all of this is showing is really two things, that a law degree is a great general qualification for a wide range of different jobs, and also that an RMIT law degree in particular can take you many different places. So we'll go to the next slide. So these are just the key dates for next year, and also there'll be other dates prior to these in relation to VTAC and admission, of course, that you'll know about from your schools and also from our team who can advise on all of those details. But for next year, we'll have 2 intakes. We'll have a start of year and a mid-year intake as we've done this year. It's a bit unclear at this stage how we'll be teaching, but if it's anything like this year, it will be some combination of in-person and virtual or online instruction, and might be able to say a bit more of that in response to questions as we go along. A couple of other things I wanted to finish on. One are about the difference between, Anne mentioned, once you complete the degree, you've still got to do either supervised workplace training or practical legal training, just the sort of difference between those. Supervised workplace training would be 12 months with a law firm, and all of the firms, particularly the medium-sized and bigger firms, have graduate intake programs. For example, Cause Chambers Westgarth, which I worked with part-time until recently, is taking something like 25 graduates in Melbourne next year. So they're quite large graduate intakes, and they're obviously with a view to developing a career with that firm if you obtain that position. But you would do the 12-month supervised workplace training in the first year, and after that you would apply for admission to practice. And then the other option Anne mentioned is practical legal training at one of the providers. So just to be clear, this is not something you do at RMIT or any other law school. Mostly it's something you do with a specific dedicated PLT provider of the different kinds that Anne mentioned. There are a few that offer that in Melbourne, or you can do it online with providers in other states. And so it means it's another 6 months study before you can be admitted. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention before we open up for questions is the relationship between our Juris Doctor students and our Bachelor of Law students. So to be clear about our Juris Doctor students, they are mid-career, typically professionals who are coming back to study having worked for a period of time in a range of different fields. They come to us from everywhere, from things like engineering and nursing and journalism, and it's either for a career change or to add law to their existing skills so that they can provide, advice within their organisation on contracts or legal disputes that might arise in a commercial setting. So those group of students are well established, but they're working closely through our Law Student Society with our new Bachelor of Law students. And I guess what we've been able to set up is a kind of an automatic mentoring group from our older, more experienced students for our younger undergraduate students. And I think there's a range of different ways, including joint mooting teams, joint careers advice sessions, bringing out the law firms onto campus, all of that happening virtually at the moment, of course. But I think it's a really positive element of what's attractive about the degree here at RMIT is the interaction between those two different student groups. So I'll leave it there and throw back to Anne to handle the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Anthony. And we already have some excellent questions here in the meeting chat. One thing I just wanted to quickly follow up on something Anthony has just said is we have set up a formal peer-to-peer mentoring. So when you start with us, keep an eye out for that and express your interest. That is your opportunity to basically talk to the people that are 1 year ahead of you and get an idea on, you know, how they went about things, what they recommend and do not recommend. So for the questions in the chat, is there an opportunity for internship during the law degree? Yes, there is. Generally speaking, both for credit and not for credit. We will advertise to you if there are opportunities for, you know, shadowing a judge or, you know, doing smaller things that might not add up to enough engagement for credit, but they are all fantastic opportunities and they are great for networking and CV building and so on. So please do, you know, jump on it if you have the time. As for credit, we have several courses. One is legal internship. The idea behind this course is very much, we will advertise if there are opportunities, but we also strongly encourage you to see if you can find your own internship opportunity, and you can then talk to us to see if it fits within this, this course. Very much, you're not going to do this in your first year, it's very much a second or third year course where you are, you know, embedded in an organization doing legal work, and your assessment on our academic side will be, you know, reflecting on your experience, providing evidence of the work you have undertaken and so on. That is the legal internship course. We also have clinical legal practice, which will be a bit more formalized, and this is with our partner organizations. Anthony mentioned earlier, well, you'll be embedded and supervised by a lawyer, usually for about 80 hours of work there. This will be by application, so there will be an application process. Not every single person in the degree will get this opportunity. We also are setting up a business and human rights clinic, which will be also looking into providing advice to firms that might come to us or to NGOs that might come to us with particular problems. But yeah, I strongly encourage you, if you have the opportunity, go on the website for the Bachelor of Laws and have a look around the electives offered, because that gives you a good idea of what is there, where you can actually get your, you know, hands dirty, if you like, with some real practical legal work and internship or internship related work. Which brings me to the next question on elective, and that is, are there law courses related to international law? In our core offering, we don't have a dedicated international law course. We do work, you know, introduce international law to you in becoming a lawyer in a globalized world, which is your introductory course. And some of the other courses will, you know, introduce you to the relevant international law in this area. However, if this is where you want to go, we have actually quite a couple of electives to choose from, both private and public international law. So you can do international commercial law. There is global trade and business law. There is public international law. And then there, hopefully soon, there will be study tours such as Asian law and management issues, which, you know, will take place in Vietnam, COVID permitting, of course. So you can definitely make this, you know, the highlight of your elective selection and really drill down into that international law area if you are so inclined. I have a question here on, does this degree specialize in a specific area of law? It's a really interesting question. So when I provided that overview with the table on what do you do which year, Just to reiterate again, there is a whole lot of subjects we have to teach you. So about half of this course is taken up by the Priestley 11. So this is a general law degree. When you can still become whatever you like at the tail end of this. Your specialization you really undertake by your elective selection. What is special possibly about our degree is this kind of focus on bringing law to life. So the practical skills to start you early on, you know, assessment that emulates what will be required of you in a classic law job. So we do have essays, but a lot less so than writing, you know, letters to hypothetical clients or memoranda to, you know, hypothetical senior lawyers. And then there is the focus on law and technology, but also on justice, innovation, and human rights that is woven in throughout the program. What type of job might I go into after this degree? And are there career advisors to help me decide on this? You might have posted that before. Anthony has talked about the large variety of jobs that our graduates have gone in through. We've just set up the role of a student advisor for you to go to about career advice. So start with us, do a year, and then or go early and talk to your student advisor, which is a staff member who can talk you through this. The LSS, the Law Student Society, also runs a lot of career sessions, so there will be plenty of opportunity to talk to staff and practitioners about where do I want to go with this? What am I really interested in? Anthony, do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I think, as well as pointing out where some of our students have gone, I think, you know, from the JD, in terms of the broad range of career options, most of the ones I spoke about were within the law still in some way, but I think the thing about a law degree is it equips you for something like the media, journalism, the sort of writing and analytical skills that you develop are really well suited to something like that. And certainly quite a few of our graduates have gone on to roles in the media. The other thing about advice, as well as what Anne mentioned, our dedicated student career advisors on staff, but each lecturer, I think, plays a mentoring and career development role for our students. So my area is employment and labour relations law, and I'm frequently asked by students, as well as, can I help resolve some workplace problem they're having, but also more importantly, you know, what are the options available in our field? And certainly I'm really always very happy to discuss those options with students. Another one we haven't talked about is academia as an option. So obviously that's where Anne and I have ended up, although I've also worked extensively in practice at the same time as academia. But another really great option for people who find that they love research is to end up doing a PhD and perhaps joining the law faculty of a university to teach and research law. And just on other avenues of advice, I mentioned our Centre for Innovative Justice. Rob Hulls and his team, a large part of what they are there to do is to develop our students' interests in pursuing law, both within the mainstream legal sector, but certainly in the innovative justice and community legal sector. And they offer frequent career advice sessions. They've called them speed dating sessions in the past, where they'll bring in barristers and judges and people in, for example, from the Human Rights Law Centre, from a whole range of different areas to spend time just talking with students about, well, how did you come to do a law degree? How did you go on to what you're now doing in the law? And talking to our students about where they want to take their careers once they've finished studying law with us.
Thank you. So there's a question, and will the supervised legal practice be a paid internship or pro bono? I'm thinking you might talk about supervised legal training as part of PLT, where you are a year with a law firm. That is paid. If you're talking about doing an internship as part of your law degree, that is usually unpaid because you are still learning, and usually you are more work for your supervisors than you are putting back in. So yeah, hopefully that covers both potential angles for this question. Do we have any other questions? I don't have any more questions here in the chat. One thing I wanted to pick up on that Anthony mentioned earlier is the way we teach this course. So generally speaking, yes, there is a blended approach. We pre-record the lectures. So usually for every course, you usually have about 3 hours per week, of which about 1.5 hours are pre-recorded content and 1.5 hours are, you know, a quite hands-on practical in-person tutorial. I envision that for next year, we will offer, you know, several tutorials for every single course. In semester 1 this year, we had 3. And I think most of them will be face-to-face, and some of them will be online for students that cannot make it to a classroom. We are still, you know, locking in what this will look like. It will very much also depend on government requirements around, you know, how many people can you have in a room, you know, what's it like with the COVID situation, and so on and so forth. So it's really it's a bit of a moving target at the moment, but I very much hope we will be able to have you in a classroom, and I'm sure there will be some opportunity to do so. Okay, we have one more question, and that is, why should I choose to study law at RMIT over another university? Which is interesting, the exact same question we had in an earlier sessions on it. This is a very practical course. If you want to acquire skills that, you know, set you apart from other law graduates, I think this is a fantastic course to take with us. We are very much about, you know, law and practice, bringing law to life, giving you as much practice of, you know, the nitty-gritty of being a lawyer as we can throughout the program. The other thing is we are future focused. Our law and technology focus is very much trying to prepare you for a fast changing profession and give you a skill set that can, you know, shift with the shifts that technology has brought to our profession. Finally, if you go for the straight law degree, this is a 3-year degree. This is pretty fast. You will no doubt have looked around, and most other offerings are 4-year degrees. It means you have a little less flexibility in terms of electives, but this is a kind of tightly designed program that gets you through your law degree comparatively quickly. Anthony, do you want to add anything on why law at RMIT?
I think you hit on the main points, Anne. I think, okay, you know, RMIT has a long tradition of practical, applied skill acquisition and development across a whole range of different disciplines, and we've now brought that to life in the law programs as well. The 3-year component is another thing that a lot of people are finding attractive, but fully accredited by Victorian Legal Admissions Board, so you come out with the same qualification but quicker. And I think the heavy emphasis we have, which we've hoped to illustrate today, on career development, so not just what you learn while at law school, but really readying you for legal practice, if that's what you want to do, or for a whole range of other career options, and the effort we put into industry connection to facilitate internships, clinic placements, where you get to bring the law to life while you're studying with us, and all of those things are really helpful and useful for building your CV as well. So I think they're the main reasons we think this is an attractive offering compared to a lot of other law schools. And certainly that's been the experience of our Juris Doctor graduates over the last 15 years. So back to you, Anne, to close out.
Thank you so much. And everyone, thanks for making the time. Now, looking at COVID numbers, I can't guarantee any of this will happen, but we do hope there will be an opportunity, this year to have a tour of the facilities. So, keep an eye and an ear out for that. Maybe this is possible. It's really hard to say given the current lockdown situation. So if this is the case, you might actually meet us in person, and we will meet you in person, which is weirdly exciting these days. But I hope you learned a lot. Do reach out to us if you have any questions about the academic side, on the teaching side of this. Do reach out to RMIT Connect for anything admissions related. And if you're on grade 12, best of luck. Hopefully everything goes smoothly and you are not too impacted by all that online learning across your year 11 and year 12. And hopefully we see you here, hopefully not here, but in person at in the university, which you can see here behind me in my background. Hopefully we will see you in person in the classroom next year. Thank you so much.